takes us to the characteristics of outsourcing. When we look at the characteristics of outsourcing, you'll see most of the things we've said already. It looks at activities that we once did ourselves. We've once done it ourselves internally, but now we've decided that we can actually, it would be better for us to outsource those activities, right? So we take it to another supplier. We can take the people and the assets over. It creates a long-term relationship, and it means that we have exposure to risk. We have exposure to another cost profile. So we know that it could be risky because we are using someone from outside, right? The rationale then to do the outsourcing, although we know there might be issues, is because we realize it becoming too expensive to buy. And all the other reasons remain, but this is usually the main one for us. Right. Tactical reasons for outsourcing also includes that we see that we have an opportunity to look at my transaction, look at my cost, and I find that I, with this, still reduce my costs. So if I reduce costs, this is the way I'm going. Another one for tactical reasons is that I want to free my internal resources. Those resources are now so busy with things that I can actually outsource because it's not core competencies. I can free them and get them to do other things. I spend my money therefore more wisely. I also could have a cash infusion because I get the products manufactured more effectively. I sell them, it's getting higher prices, and that helps me all in all. I can have better performance all around, and I simply have better management because now management doesn't have to worry about the whole function, but only the things that is actually most important to this company. Right. That is my tactical reasons. I also have strategic reasons, and strategic reasons, first of all, would be competence-based. When it is competence-based, I say something there now. Okay, when it's competence-based, we're really looking at what is it that we really have unique skills for. So when I look at my unique skills in this business, I'm saying to myself, the unique skills is what's making me different. It's making me more effective. So it's better for me to concentrate on these things and let the other things go. Core competency is therefore the thing that I use mostly, and that normally is what I use to get benefits from my customers. A core competency, we prefer them to be intangible, because if it's intangible, it's difficult for anyone else to copy or to imitate, and that is when I have the real competitive advantage, when no one can imitate that. And it also, when we have a competitive advantage, we'll be able to leverage many other products into the market. So once I have that advantage, I can take it further, I can expand it, and I get even better results then. There are times that outsourcing is actually not the answer. It's not always equally good. So what I know is that when it works, it's great. So when I have better quality and a better price, that's definitely great. I should outsource. There's no two ways about it. I must do it. The problem comes in when it no longer is beneficial to me, that I need to see that not always is outsourcing my best option. So, disadvantage of outsourcing is if it creates a captive supplier. And a captive supplier means I am the one that buys more than 50% of this supplier's products. If that is the case, I'm actually needing to get away from that. So I'm outsourcing to him, and he's so dependent on me that it's not a good situation. The next one says loss of control and skills. It's actually lack. No, excuse. Yours says lack. Mine, the right one is loss. I've changed mine already. Okay, that's right. So please change it on your notes. It says lack of control. It should be loss of control and skills. Right. So when I outsource, I don't have control anymore. I don't have necessarily skills because I'm taking the assets over. I'm taking the people over. So I'm losing out on that. It's sometimes simply that I am no longer the focus of my service that I'm providing, so that's not necessarily good for me. Sometimes there's a lack of clarity. Now, this lack of clarity is simply saying to me that there are times that we don't have the stipulations anymore. We're not going to have the specific things, what do we require anymore, etc. So it could be a situation where we don't necessarily going to have such a good quality anymore. We're losing that sort of grasp that we had on that, all of that. So control in terms of my cost, another issue. When I do things internal, I know what it's going to cost. I can limit, I can have economies of scale, I can do whatever I can to limit what I'm paying. But once I go outside, yes, I might have a contract, but I don't have the same kind of control over it. Ineffective management, management who no longer has control, means that they cannot manage the quality, they cannot necessarily get the product and the supplier to do exactly what they want from that supplier. The confidentiality, I manufacture products, I cannot say that I can keep the information of the customer, for instance, confidential, because I'm passing this whole task on. I might have to inform the supplier what the product needs to be like, etc. So I'm sharing information, and I could even lose that information. And then sometimes we have what is called double outsourcing. So I'm outsourcing to company Z, but they are also outsourcing to another company. So we have one company that's then outsourcing to another, and that just means that every time that that happens, we have less and less of control, and we do not necessarily know what quality we're getting back. We have an arrangement just with the first company. Their arrangements is not something that we have control over. So from all of this, what we are worried about is that our quality is going to suffer. When the quality suffers, it's going to reflect on us, and when it reflects on us like that, we don't have control over it, we can lose our clients. We must remember that when I outsource, this supplier that I'm using now, I'm not his only client. That supplier has many other clients with which he's going to have a relationship. So I'm not the most important for them, and therefore it's important for me to understand that not always will outsourcing be an answer. Now, how do we outsource? Well, there's three big parts of it. There's a strategic phase, then the transition phase, then the operational phase. But each of those phases have smaller parts to it, and that is then what we find for the next couple of slides here. The first is the strategic phase. And the strategic phase basically say to me, why do we want to outsource? Now, we need to find out why we want to outsource, because that's going to help us to see what then, at the second thing, what we can outsource. If we know why, do we want to outsource because we want to focus on our core competencies? Or is it simply a cost-effective decision? Or is it because we want better service? Once we know why do we want this outsourcing, we can say which of the things in our company should we outsource. So if it is, for instance, for core competency, then it's easy. Then I look at which things are actually not helping my competitive advantage, take those things out. Those are costing me money, but it's not really doing anything for me. So that will help me. The to whom we outsource, that is a whole different ballgame, because now we need to start saying, all right, who's available? Who are the different suppliers? Why would I want to choose one over the other? And of course, I need to find the supplier for the specific product and service that I want to outsource. Right. In this outsourcing still, so it's all still part of this phase one, we could do competency-based outsourcing. And the word already tells us what we're going to focus on. We are going to try and find that supplier that can provide this specific product, this specific service better than us. Right. That's what I'm trying to get. I'm trying to get someone that can do this a little bit better than what we can do this at. And of course, if it is a non-core, it has to be a non-core, that I'm finding someone who's better at that specific thing than me. Secondly, and guys, there's another mistake on your text. It says that, better that, instead of than on your note. Right. So it's better than the potential supplier at a task. If I see that I can do something better than all of these possible suppliers, then I'll say no. I will not outsource, I will rather do it in-house. So if I do it on competency, I need someone who's better than me at that task. If the external then can perform it better, I can decide to either invest in my in-house and make my in-house better, or I can simply outsource. And very often, it's better to outsource than to try and now build an infrastructure for something that is not even my core function here. The second possibility is a cost-based outsourcing. And if it's cost-based, I'm literally saying, what does it cost me to make? What does it cost me to outsource? But when I look at this outsource cost and insourcing cost, it is not just the manufacturing cost. It's all the costs involved. It would be the admin costs involved. It would be the transportation, the storage, every single thing that I can take in consideration here, I need to take in there. And then I compare them in a proper fashion. So I compare all the costs, and I'm getting then a decision that says it is cheaper and more effective, therefore, to outsource, or it is cheaper but not as effective to insource. Right. So I want the cost base. But when we look at these two things, we look at the price. So we're looking literally at the rands that we are spending. But it doesn't mean that we can take a decision purely financial. We have to still remember the finance is linking to quality, and we have to take that into consideration. The second phase that we have in how we're doing this outsourcing is a transitional phase. And in the transitional phase, we are saying now, all right, we want to outsource. And if we decide that we want to outsource, we need to have a contract. This contract is what's going to help me to build this relationship, but not just a relationship, a long-term relationship. So the contract gives me the leeway to do that. Now, drawing the conflict or having a conflict depends on what we want. That contract can be a service level agreement that we have with this other company. We can say that there's certain key performance indicators that we're expecting from them, etc. But we negotiate this with them. Once we've negotiated that with them, then that will stand for the time period that we have said we are going to go into. Look at the things that goes into it, the scope of the service, the period of the contract, what we're going to charge, the fees, the penalties, etc. Now, with this, it's supposedly saying here that we are fixed for a specific price, but guaranteed into it, we will have to build something about specific price increases. So if the fuel price goes up, of course other prices are going to go up, but it is not like they can just manipulate the price whatever way they want. The problem with prices, if we are the purchasers and we say, no, we don't want any hike in price, then that supplier is actually not mutually benefiting from what we are doing. So we negotiate a situation where both of us are happy. So neither of us can just drive prices up or down, but we at least can negotiate those prices. And we also need to have a termination plan. We need to know how we're going to transfer the ownership, the property, etc. Then how we will solve disagreements, any conflict. Because remember, we have two different companies working basically together here, extending one another. So obviously there could be a lot of conflict. We need to have a communication plan, an agreement on the control, and then also any warranties, etc., sorted out. So all of this must go into my agreement contract so that we do not find ourselves in a situation where some people or one of the two, are not happy. So at the end, we are going to transfer the whole task and everything that goes with the task. Resources, people, information, all of that is also transferred. And to do that is not an easy process. Right. And that is why we need specific people to be involved in this process of outsourcing.